No matter if you're asleep at the wheel of life or have awoken to not just the consciousness of reality, but also the corporatocracy that has hijacked our world, most of us are paying attention to our shrinking wallets, as well as the political circus. The system is in the limelight, but not how the power structure would like it to be. The social engineering agenda of dumbing the masses into good little minions of the system has been highly successful, however too many people are now suffering and looking for answers why. Sometimes it feels that the alternative media gives them too much credit too, because it's also been highly successful at exposing itself and therefore waking up people to their enslavement, as well as the lies, deception, toxicity, and control matrix itself. In response, grassroots truth and sovereignty movements are budding all over the earth in a decentralized and impenetrable way. People are organizing all across the planet to peacefully resist the encroachment on our freedoms and build healthy and progressive alternatives to a profit before morality model, which has infiltrated our economic, political, medicinal, entrepreneurial, and philosophical spheres. Money has talked, but the real people have started to walk. In addition, those who lie in the middle of the lie are curious about all the noise happening in both the alternative and in the matrix media, so their concentration has been captured too. Simply, most eyes are focused on the money, and the political arena. And hasn't the existing order embarrassed themselves? Their propaganda narratives have been indisputably exposed again and again, and are therefore falling apart before our collective eyes. Ask any average Joe on the street and they will tell you that they're not being represented, or cared for, by the corporate and political elite. This great shame is the beginning of the end to their game. The type of attention that is generating from an increasingly unsettled populace is unwanted by the powers that will no longer be. They're fumbling as a result. They're making mistake after mistake. They've also shown conclusively that they're not as powerful as they would like us to think. Even with all the control they have over the money and the information, they have not been able to stop the paradigmatic shifts in our collective consciousness. They had no chance anyway when an energetic expansion has been working against them. Their time is nigh, but make no mistake, they won't go down without a fight. After all, this shadow order still controls the system at its core. It's an absolute embarrassment that we've allowed it to get this far, but we can find solace in the fact that it's all part of the process, it's all part of the spiritual experience that we designed for ourselves. The energetic shift which is guiding the emancipation of humanity creates an internal conflict in anyone who chooses to stay ignorant of the way the world really works, which surfaces as either a subconscious or conscious search for alternative answers. Whether we're aware of it or not, we're all looking for new ways of being, which is why all eyes are on the control system by default. If the hidden hand had its way, it would just continue with the same old story of a left-right illusion where the people actually feel like they've got a genuine choice in the affairs of their future. The political system should no doubt be capitalized on to educate society and facilitate the actual change we need, but depending on the old duopoly will always end fruitlessly. This is why the Trump versus Hitler versus Flanders theater has actually been a good thing for America, and the rest of the world, because it's illustrated clearly how money, not morality and intelligence, is what controls who is in power and what decisions they make. Of course, there are still those who fall for the left-right deception, but too many of us now know, regardless of how little of the big picture we understand, that a choice for either side is still a choice for the status quo. And nobody who understands the gravity of this mess wants to continue to line the pockets of the so-called elite and transnational bodies at not just our expense, but our future generations, and our natural systems too. Inspiringly though, there are many serious issues and concerns which are strongly garnering not just the attention, but the response of the people. The hibernating inner activist has been shocked into action for more and more individuals. Examples include this political sellout, an impending fiat debt implosion, our environmental degradation, a dying middle class, increasing health issues, big money tax evasion, widespread socio-economic disadvantage, Middle East tensions, societal unrest, and the drugging of our society by the pharma monopolies, to name but a few. Even the most highly indoctrinated can somewhat see the plethora of issues we face. All this chaos, however, really is about creating order. A new order. The control grid is of course designed to create a new world order, and who knows, they might be successful. But if so, it will only be for a short while. That's because waves of higher consciousness are sweeping through a tsunami of truths that will inevitably crash onto the shore of our system. The tide has already turned. Eventually, the new order will be one of truth, equality, abundance, and freedom. Ultimately, one day we'll all look back at our current state of affairs and see it for what it is, a matrix of control that enslaved us not just materially, but spiritually as well. As an individual we have the responsibility for our own emancipation too, yet we must not forget that we should also dutifully represent it to our fellow man.